Where are we? What's the capacity? Most people just put in, I'm going for the 10. So start at 10, and you can always come in at less than that. They'll let you, lower it down to whatever you really put in, 5, 3, whatever. So when Dan said earlier, here's the number of applicants, and here's the amount that actually came through and stuff. There's another side to that, those statistics, is here's the nameplate capacity of what's been applied for and what actually goes in. Not everybody does exactly what they apply for, but you're allowed to apply up to 10. Most people check the 10. Unless you absolutely know you're going to put 5 kilowatts on the roof, that's all you have capacity for. Say what you're going to do, 5 kilowatts on the roof. Estimated date, you can generally find this out with your LDC about how far along they are. I've been very blessed with my LDCs, Niagara Peninsula Energy, where I live in Vineland, and then Haldimand County Hydro. They've been very cooperative in letting me know where things are at. And my buildings departments have been really good. So generally what I kind of say is in this area, give it 6 months. Give it 6 months from the date you're sticking in, 9 months maybe, 10 months in total. But minimum, nothing less than 6. Right now I'm telling people 9 or 10 because we're coming into winter. They're going to need some time. Proposed microfit is an incremental project, i.e. you're going to start with 2 kilowatts, grow it to 5, grow it to 8, no, either yes or no. My plan is not to be incremental. I'm putting it all in at once. Will you receive any additional grants, government loans, whatever, towards it? In most cases, from an individual perspective, probably no. For some of the commercial university stuff, there could be some other funding coming through, so they want to declare that here. Will the project have a battery backup or supply system? Most cases, not. And I won't get into that part of it. I live batteries on another part, and microfit definitely chose not to, and there's some guidelines around that that really limit what you can do. So we'll leave that part to discuss with your potential installer. And a little description. Some people get really complex in here, and they fill in every last little detail, and I'm using this panel, and there's going to be this gauge of wire going from here, and they try to describe the whole thing. I just keep it really simple. 10 kilowatt solar PV roof mount. And in this case, I looked here as a flat roof, ballasted racking. So something that I thought was reasonable for your own personal residence. If you have a sloped roof, and as Graham was saying, 30, 35 degrees, 40, 45 degrees, whatever it happens to be, you're probably just going to go roof mount if you've got pretty good exposure. And you could just get by with saying 10 kilowatt solar PV roof mount. Done. That's it. Leave it alone. After you've completed that application, you get to this page here, and at the bottom, I don't know if everybody can see at the back because it's a little low, but there's 3 buttons along the top and bottom of the screen. One says you can reset your application. Oops, I made a mistake. You can save the draft app, save it as a draft application. Definitely never hit the send button on the first time. So save it as a draft. It'll pop up in your box, your main account, where you can open it and play with it. You've gone through this all once the very first time. Save it as a draft. Make a copy. Bring your spouse or somebody in with you and look at it again. Talk to your installer, whatever. And then, after you've reviewed it all again, kind of like a test in school, the person that filled it all in and threw it into the teacher and walked out in 20 minutes and realized they missed 5 answers. Look at it a second time. Give it the second to go over. And you can print the application. Print a copy, the PDF, save it on your computer, print it out in paper, whatever. Have a look at it again. And once you've reviewed it a second time, you're really comfortable, all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, looks good. The very bottom button, submit application. And you're done. It is in. When you do that, it's going to say, I'm never good with these pointers. Oh, there it is. Okay. So on mine, I've only saved it as a draft because this is my personal account. I don't want to send one in here for the facility here. So I've saved it as a draft, and I'm going to delete it afterwards. So mine is a draft. After you've submitted it, it's going to say that it has been submitted. Status would be submitted. And it's going to be locked. Right now mine's unlocked because I can go in and make changes. After you submit it, it's locked. Now they're going to look at it and they're going to come back to you. Whoops, where's the, oh, here it is here. Okay. So what are the steps to complete the project? Now if they have any questions, they're going to come back to you. They're going to say, could you please clarify this? What did you mean? And generally it's by email. Very rarely they'll call you, but generally by email. Then you'll receive a conditional offer once they're all happy. Everything's good. You're going to go for 10 kilowatts, roof or ground. Here's your conditional offer. And in brackets, you have a year to complete the microfit project. 1 year from the date they send that, that's your timeline. The clock is ticking. During that time, what are you going to do? You're going to select a provider and you're going to start and complete the installation. What does that all involve? Well, either your provider or electrician or whoever you're working with, they need to prepare a single line diagram of how that system is going to be established. That's what the utility is going to look at, the Electrical Safety Authority, and how they're going to integrate that system into your electrical system at the house. Building permit application, if it's roof mounted, yes, you're going to need to look at a building permit. Engineer's report as well. Rooftop, Graham talked about that initially about, sometime in the last 10 years, generally you get away with saying, yeah, your roof's probably fine. But not so much anymore, so the questions need to be asked. And you'll see I put ground and question mark. City of Hamilton, a building permit required for ground mount solar? No, it's not required.
As long as it's shorter than 15 feet 2 inches.
Exactly. It doesn't exceed the height requirements of outbuilding structures. They don't care. It's and it's part of the fast tracking of microfit embedded generation. The Green Energy Act is to not put up very many barriers at all. So part of it is if it's a ground mount structure, no building permit required. Does it mean you just kind of lay them all out there and leave them up against some shovels? No. That's not the right way to do it. But, and again, you got to kind of trust who you're working with and look at it. We still, at Green Venture, we still take them out and send them into the building permits or the building departments, even though they don't require it, just to get that extra set of eyes and make sure that they're comfortable. Application of the LDC. So there's a separate application of the LDC to connect your 10 kilowatt or less distributed generation facility. And you'll need to complete that. Very simple 2-pager. And whoever you're working with by this stage to help you out will definitely help you with that application. You will receive a residential service location report. Very complex term for another pretty picture as to how this thing is going to look at your house. And it provides your new generation account number. At that point, your LDC has assigned your generation account, what they're going to pay you from. Be prepared with your LDC. Horizon Utilities is used to this, so they're kind of ahead of the curve. They've got quite a few of them in. Some of the smaller LDCs, local distribution company or utility company, don't have the foggiest idea. I walked into mine, I must be one of the first ones, and I handed them a check, a nice check, and I wrote void on it. And I said, here's my $75 to pay for my new settlement meter. I had to pay $75.20. And here is my void check. And they're like, well, what's that for? And I said, well, you're going to pay me now. And I don't want you sending me a check every month, so I got to run to the bank and cash it. You like me to go paperless and submit my payments electronically. He says, I want my payments electronically. So here's my void check, and please deposit every month on this account. I haven't got those yet, but anyhow. Payment to the LDC for the new meter, I just kind of talked about that. There is a small charge for that, and it's identified on the residential service location report. Go ahead and install your microfit system. Now you're cleared to go. Get her done. You're going to have inspections from your Electrical Safety or Standards Authority and the local distribution company are both going to be there on the date you flip the switch. And the local distribution companies in charge of installing the meters, and they initiate payments. So this is very much a truncated version. A lot of this stuff happens behind the scenes. You're not really having to control this. Your selected provider is going to manage this and has timelines set out to hand walk you through it. So, and the reason why is, as Dan mentioned, miss a step, it can set you way back. It can cost you your application if you really miss out on it. So you definitely want the steps covered in the right order and making certain you're not missing a critical one. The LDC will notify the Ontario Power Authority of completion, that your system is done, approved. ESA said, yes, we're good. And they'll initiate the microfit payment process. So they'll start to notify their accounting department, time to send this person money now, it's done. The OPA, Ontario Power Authority, will provide notification of project completion. They'll send you an email and update your profile saying project has been completed. they will also, and in that email they say you can expect to receive a contract offer in the, I think, how is it worded? A contract offer in the next few days or in the near future. That comes within like an hour. And all of a sudden, here's your contract offer. You need to read through it. You have 45 days to respond. Another time frame in here. And when you respond, they will, you say, yes, I want to accept. And then they will send you the contract. You will say on there your domestic content requirements that was talked about up here. You have to check off which ones. Your racking was done in Ontario. Your wiring, the panels, the inverters, whatever. So you check it off, and then you review the contract, and you say accept. And when that is all done, and let me say when that's all done, the first system we had out in Vineland, the microfit, 10 kilowatt there, it was ESA inspected, LDC inspected on Monday. And we're just day 7 since it was inspected. The LDC company, local distribution company, Niagara Peninsula Energy in my case, had sent off notification of the OPA. Must have been either that night or the next morning, because I received an email at 9:30 from the OPA the next morning, Monday the 30th. And all these other steps happened within hours. It was like back and forth. I just happened to be sitting on my computer and I could review everything that was all done. And I was sitting there by the afternoon of the 30th, the day after the meters were plugged in, the switch went on, and the contract was issued. It was done. So I'm certain the payments might take another month until Niagara Peninsula Energy figures that one out. At the end of all this process, your contract, you're going to get an email. Contract offer notice. This is what I was talking about. They're going to send one through to you. And in our case, it was jointly registered. Ken Bagent, Elizabeth Bagent, they had the two of us in together. Our reference number, our FIT number up there. So this is the one where you can actually view the contract offer, and it gives you the instructions to accept. So that's your last piece of the puzzle. That's where I'd like to see as many of you as that would like to proceed in this being here in 2011. So it'd be great to be back together again, sharing more stories about it. We're some of the LDCs are very new at it. Some of the building departments are very new at it. But the process isn't really all that hard. So if we can be of help to you today, that's the end of what I want to talk about. Please, yes?
This residential service location report, what's the purpose of that again?
That goes out from the LDC, local distribution company, Horizon Utilities, and it is essentially going out to your electrical contractor to summarize the connection that's going to occur, and it also is copied to the Electrical Safety Authority, and that's what they base their codes on for inspection of what they're going to, how they're going to assess the interconnection. Am I correct, Graham?
Yeah, that, very formally, I'll tell you more crudely, it's the bill. It's when you get told how much they're going to charge you to connect your system to the local utility. And they justify the charge by all the stuff that Ken just walked you through, right? But it's really how much it's going to cost you to put the meter on your house.
Well, I thought you were saying something like how it looks to the neighbors, to the neighborhood. Like if you put a huge panel and it doesn't look very good, then you may not even be allowed to do that? No,
not at all. Not at all. You have guaranteed access rights, 10 kilowatts or less, under the micro and embedded generation. As Graham was saying, in the region, as long as you're not going on a ground mount higher than 15 point whatever 2 feet off the ground, there's no obstacles. You must satisfy other guidelines, so stay away the certain setbacks from side yard, like you can't just build it right on the fence. Those kind of things you need to pay attention to, but as long as you're within standard parameters, they can't deny or withhold your opportunity to build your project.
At the same time they passed the Green Energy Act, one of the things I got rid of is like these old agreements we used to have. Subdivisions couldn't put up clotheslines and stuff like that because everyone thought that they were an eyesight and stuff like that. When they got rid of those, they passed similar legislation for this stuff that says you can't object. The municipality can't bring in a bylaw or prevent you from putting a green energy project on because of aesthetic reasons.